Okay, today is November 2nd, 2020. Today was a range day for the most part. Let me turn off that news indicator. Today was a range day. I was expecting something much crazier because of all this talk about increasing margins and the election. I'm sure tomorrow will be a wild ride, don't get me wrong, but this seemed pretty easy to navigate today. If you mark the overnight highs and the lows, it didn't seem too out of the ordinary. So here we have the overnight. It was trending down. Actually, there was a big trend up overnight, as you can see right here, and then it trended down for like the last 3 hours of the overnight. Then we had this congestion near the open and a little after the open. Then this pretty steep trend up to the overnight highs where resistance held prices, had a little bit of a range, came down. Then we had this range for, let's see how long that was, about 2 hours. Prices were ranging, had a width trend breakout and then a counter trend breakout that failed. Took prices lower. I did mark this range that was in the middle of the night because I just wanted to be prepared if prices went lower than the overnight lows. And this level of resistance in last night's range did hold as support for prices today. And so yeah, as you can see, prices bounced off that and trended higher for the rest of the day. So let's take a look at these trades that I marked. So the first trade I marked was at 5:23 Pacific time, and it's a second entry short. Nice signal bar off the EMA, off the midline. You might think it's a little risky just because it's in the lower half of that trend channel, but the midline was holding prices for this pretty much most of this channel down. So I marked that, and that actually became resistance for this range that went from a little bit before the opening into looks like first 15 minutes of the opening. So now I'm seeing this signal bar right here. I think I didn't mark this because it's going into the EMA and the midline. Is there room to scalp out? Let's see. Before the midline. Yeah, there is. So you might take that. I'll mark that as aggressive, just because there's room. But I didn't like at first glance how close it was to the midline. And in real time, it's harder to calculate your risk and how far away it is from the midline. But yeah, I think that's a good trade enough. Let's see. It kind of looks like it's like a third entry short. So yeah, prices ranged for the first 15 minutes after the open, and then once the market opened, you could see this channel down. It's not steep, but you can see it working down, and I just drew it off the closes of the bars, and that's why I marked this trade right here. I think this is aggressive, but it's off the channel line. It's below the EMA. If it fails, which it did, if it fails, I would think there would be trapped longs. So that's why I marked it, but I'm going to change that to aggressive because the signal bar isn't great. But there's room to the bottom of that channel, and look, prices keep going to the bottom of that channel, so that's probably why I marked it too. Oh, and it's if it fails, it's also a breakout of the range right here, the green range, and you can see prices are trying to go lower. That's why I marked it. So Then we hit resistance right here, which was this was the new low. So I've been calling this the overnight low. That's not the case. The overnight lows were actually down here. But I just marked this because this is where prices held. So we had this channel up. I didn't see anything I liked in there. This right here kind of looks like a second entry long. So the leg down, this kind of doji, and this signal bar up. So I mean, if you're being aggressive, I think you might take that. You might also take this one right here because that signal bar goes off the trend channel. And if you had your trend channel drawn like off this close right here, that would look like it would trap some shorts right there too. So you might take that. And now that I'm looking at it, this bar looks like it would definitely trap shorts too. Especially since here, let me take these crosshairs off. Especially since this green bar broke lower, so all the people who entered below that signal bar would have been triggered, and then their stops would have been triggered at the end of this bar. So you might go long above that like it's a trap. That does look like a trap, so I'm going to mark that. Then we have this failed second entry short right here. First entry, second entry, good signal bar, off the trend line. I took that. And then prices kind of range right here. I didn't mark that as a range, but they're ranging right here for sure. Then it breaks up towards the overnight highs, which held prices, and there's a range above that. I bet this is probably just about maybe right here. Yeah. Those are about equidistant. So that's probably the midline for this bigger range. I didn't like any trades in this range, but you might take this as a lower high, this bar right here. And then when prices started to trend down, I marked this as a lower high. This is a big move down. I would expect another leg. So you got a lower high there. And I marked this as a lower high as well. But this is pretty far from the EMA. And well, you might be looking at this as one leg down though and expect another leg down. Let's measure that. Let's see, did we make that? Well, that's right in between. That'd be the midline of this about 30-point range right here. So prices did eventually go past that, but that might be, you might take that if you saw that that was the midline of today's range, which I forgot to mark the midline. If you saw that, you might take that trade for that reason too. And then yeah, prices started to range for about 2 hours. I marked this as aggressive because it's going into the midline, but it is a failed, or not a failed, it is a second entry short, which I didn't even realize. So I think I like that trade. It's below, it closes below the EMA. But yeah, it's right into that midline, so it's a little risky. We have this with trend break, comes back up, tries to go lower again, counter trend break. So you could take this if you're being aggressive as a test of this high, or you could take this lower high right here, even though I didn't mark it. Especially, it looks like you have room to scalp out before the EMA. And this one right here, I did think about this. I'm about to mark this. This is like a lower high. It looks like we have a channel working down too. Right here. So that looks like that's off that channel. So you might take that. Here I mark this. I like this. It opens and closes within the range right at the top. There's going to be trapped longs if it breaks lower, and it did break lower. There's also room to scalp out before the EMA. And yeah, if you take that, you can ride this ride. So if you have this trend line marked like this, then you have a break and move to a couple legs up, 1, 2. So you might take this. Here, let's measure that. Okay, you might take this. It's also breaks below the low that I marked with this line, this blue line. And you know, after a strong leg down like that, you might expect another leg down. So that's why I took those higher lows. Let's see if this leg compares. And yeah, eventually we get a little further than that measured move down. So let's see. This is a double touch that I marked down here. Prices bounce off the resistance or the support of this range from the overnight, and we get a double test. So the first test of that level was right here. Second, or first time it touches that. First test, second test right here. Goes down. And I saw this. This was like a triple test right here. After I see this bar, it closes. Prices after this bar seem to be going lower. I was thinking about putting a limit order in below this bar when I seen these red bars. Low risk. What is that? 83.50 to 84.70, 85. So that's a 1.5. So that's about a 2-point risk right there. I didn't see any entries down here. Then you have this steep channel up. Breaks, moves to a new high, comes down, hits those marked lows that I have. I would say this is aggressive, but this looks like a second entry long, so you might not look at that as aggressive. And then the opening price held prices. I didn't spot this trap right here. This is a trap, and it's a double top. People probably think we're still going long after this bar. It goes down, and then this looks kind of like a bullish bar too, and then people get hit right here. So you might take that. That's a test of that level too as well. You might take that and go short there. And that's pretty much it for today. That was actually past 12 o'clock, so I went a little past that. But that's what I saw today, and I'm going to make a video tomorrow.